Okay, welcome to Math 2223 Sports Analytics. My name's Ian Grundy and I am your lecturer. You can contact me by email on ian.grundy@rmit.edu.au or drop by my office, which is 8927. So that's Building 8, Level 9, Room 27. Now, sports analytics, it's about sport. Um, no prior knowledge is assumed or required really, but an interest in sport is definitely useful. It's a pretty boring sort of course if you're not interested in sport at all. Um, good Excel skills would be very useful. Um, for example, if you can do stuff up to including things like VLOOKUP. If you know what VLOOKUP is, then you're probably well and truly going to be comfortable with all the stuff we're doing. We're going to use Excel as our main platform for doing calculations. If you can write macros, then you're ahead of me. So you should really find it pretty straightforward. Okay, so what are we going to look at? We're going to look at sort of methods for rating teams and individuals, and they can be done in a similar way. Then we're going to move on to looking at individuals within teams, and that gets us into the realm of Moneyball. Then we're going to look at in-play sort of models for discrete sports like tennis. We're going to do some Monte Carlo simulation, which is how you can crunch probabilities when you're looking at sort of complicated sort of systems. For example, we might want to work out the probability that Federer wins the next tennis tournament with 128 sort of players involved. What's the probability that he'll end up on top? We can calculate that using Monte Carlo simulation. What else are we going to do? We're going to look at in-play models in continuous sports like football, basketball, and that's going to use a thing called Brownian motion. We're going to talk a little bit about wagering right at the end, and hopefully our special guest lecturer will come along and talk about collecting data in play, GPS and sports code type stuff. So the first 8 weeks we have some weekly worksheets for you to work on and get up to speed. Beyond that, you're starting to get into the project. You need to choose a topic by about the middle of the semester, and it can be basically anything you choose as long as you're able to do some computations, because we insist on you computing things in this course. So it's not a literature review is not enough. You need to do some calculations related to sports. Anyway, so the project, the topic's entirely up to you. You probably need to run it by me so I can tell you whether the scope is sort of too narrow or too large, whether it's a manageable project. And that basically dominates the second half of the semester. We do 3 hours per week. The first hour will be typically me talking. Second hour will be an interactive sort of session where we go through the week's tutorial worksheet. The third session is typically in the lab where you finish that off, and a lot of people actually skip that and do the work at home. So that's fine if you want to do that. So we typically have our classes in one block, 3-hour block, and all the course materials are within Canvas, which is where you are right now. Okay, so I'll see you at the first class.